Hello, Office Boy Builder here. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you are well. You will be able to see that I have made a little bit of progress here. I have been spending the last day or so doing the plumbing, getting all of the services in, cleaning everything up. You'll have seen hopefully in the last video that all the flooring is done in here. This now works, the bidet, which is very exciting. Really strong power on that, and it drains away very nicely. Sink is left to do because I haven't connected up the waste pipe yet, so I'm about to do that now. I needed to get a reducer from 40mm to 32mm. I will be fitting that in a second. The reason I didn't film any of that is because, well, there was no point. You can't see anything behind where I am, and I wasn't able to get in there, so haven't been able to do that. But on this one, I'm going to be putting some trim round, and I'm going to be wallpapering around here, and then I'll install the toilet as well. So stay tuned. Right, so this is all now prepped and painted the whole way up there. Very happy with that. I've done the skirtings all the way along. And I've also done the architrave. Final thing to do is to install the toilet, which I am super excited about. I will try and show you as much of this as I can, because A, it's quite a handy thing to know how to do, and B, I haven't really been able to film much else around the services and utilities. So I'm going to try and film it if I can. First things first, I've got to open up all of the boxes. With all of these things, there's a little bit of trial and error because you don't always know exactly what you're going to need in terms of pipe work and, you know, connections and fittings and that sort of thing. So it's a little bit of guesswork. I do know that I'm likely to need this. This is a quick speed fit connection here, which will then come up and feed the cistern. So I'm going to put that up here. I'm going to start by opening the boxes. Like all the rest of the suite in here, this is Burlington because I got it in an absurdly good sale. I think everything was like 60% off, 70% off. End of season. I didn't know that toilets had seasons, but it was an end of season sale, so we bought it. My kids have been using all of the cardboard for junk modeling and making, which has been great. This is quite a sturdy little toilet, which is very nice. That's quite good. It's got screws and it's got caps, which is very good. That's nice. The other ones didn't come with caps, which is a bit irritating because I did want to cover the screw holes. So I'm going to leave that up there. Right, first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to try a very quick and dirty dry fit. Excuse the pun. I'm going to see whether I can fit this in as is. Probably get a very attractive shot of my backside. But I want to see how this is going to fit, or whether it's going to, oh shoot, that's a problem, potentially. That is a potential problem. Okay, so that sits back on there. We may have to raise this whole thing. How does it feel when you sit on it? Yeah, that's okay. If it was up a little bit, it would be fine as well. But the old toilet was clearly higher off the ground than this toilet because there is a difference there, and it's quite a big difference. So that will need to be raised up. I need to think very carefully about exactly how I do that. Right, I'm going to spend a bit of time thinking and I'll come back. This is why I never throw anything away. I have a very, very useful rubber sealed extension that will sleeve over that pipe and extend it, because this close coupled toilet here extends much further than the last one did. So that's helpful. I then have that, which is great to go around. So that'll create a nice tight seal. I also have this bit of 22mm flooring, which is pretty much the exact height that it needs to be raised by. So I've traced around the toilet. I am going to go and cut that out now on my table saw. I will then bring it back up. I will paint the whole of the surround so that it is kind of smoothed and sanded and all that sort of stuff. But I can also actually tape the whole of this and the floor and then give it another coat as well. So I'll give it a preliminary coat and then I will do a top coat after. So while this one is drying up, I'll probably do a second coat, and I may even use the mid-sheen finish on that there, because it will be lit up by this LED and I don't want it looking rubbish. What I'm doing is I'm straightening up the pan. I've got another offcut of the same height, 22mm flooring. So I'm just lining this up with the pipe, because what I want to do is I want to measure the distance from here to around here, so the couplers fit. So I'm going to get a tape measure, I'll measure that distance, I'll cut that off the pipe, I'll attach it. So it's going to be this one here. So that will sit on there. That'll bed back in onto this section. So it'll be kind of there-ish. Ah, no, that won't work. Well, actually, it might do. If I pull this forward, what I want to find is that this knocks out. That sits on there like that. Ooh. Well, that would be quite funny, wouldn't it? Look, if we had the toilet that far away from the wall. Nice one. Okay, so the fact that that does house straight in there, that's quite nice, actually. I don't have to have two different couplings, so I can leave that old one there, and I can line this up again. I'll get the actual closed couple unit and I'll sit it on to make sure before I do anything else. But this, you know, at an absolute maximum depth would be to about here. So I'll cut that off and double check, but that looks about right to me. So I've opened up this box. This is the closed couple toilet. I'm going to, I was expecting a super heavy lift. That is not it, that's the lid. So that's good. It's just occurred to me, it possibly doesn't have, oh it does, oh that's nice. It does come with all of the internal gubbins. That is very, very helpful. And even some instruction. Oh look, yes, so you can do a half flush or a full flush. That's quite nice. Great, so it comes with all of those bits. And destructions. That's good. This can slide out. Okay, so this part goes back against the wall, and I know that because there are two small screw holes that are very awkward to get to with an impact driver or a screwdriver. And that's the front section here for the handle. So this, oh, I'm glad I didn't cut the pipe just yet, because this sits even further away from the wall than I thought it did. Okay, so that sits on there. That's quite nice. I want to make sure I get that perfectly level, but now when I offer this up, yes, I would have been short. So let's go for there. So yes, that's about 1.5 inches. I don't know if you can see, but that's my original mark. That is wrong. I'm going to go for here. Okay, so that's going to get cut out. Keep the pencil with me. As soon as that timber dries, I'm going to give it a second coat. Yeah, it's getting close. It's not quite fully dry, but it's getting there. So this is going to get cut now. I'll do that off camera. As soon as I've cut that, we can start the proper installation. I'll get a spirit level to make sure that the cistern is nice and level across the top. Something else that I do when I install them, I've done this downstairs. Like I say, I filmed it, but it never showed up because my phone deleted the footage. But when I install these, what I do is I take a 20mm grommet, the rubber grommets that you would get in the back of an metal electrical box, and I put those on the inside, and then I get a penny washer, and that way it gently pulls the cistern back into the wall without putting any direct pressure on the porcelain, and it means that it sucks it in, pulls it in nice and tight, but it doesn't damage the unit. So that's good. Right, I'm going to kit for installation, for close couple installation. So that's the kind of donut that goes on to stop any leaks coming out. So I'm not going to cut this just yet. I think I'm going to wait because I just want to double check that everything is exactly where it needs to be. So I don't need that because that is the kit for the low level one. So with these toilets, you have to make sure that the valve is installed first, because this rubber seal here is what ensures that no water leaks out the bottom. Rubber seal on the inside. This rubber seal on the underside, there isn't any way to secure this down, so the two actually get connected to one another. So what you need to do is screw the bottom of this and make sure that this unit is seated in place with this nice and accessible here. So that unit will sit there-ish. And this is where the water comes up as well. So there's quite a bit that I need to do before I can sit this in, but that is aligned with a bit below. So I know the length of the pipe that I need to cut off for that. So this has lugs on the side, so you have to do it up and down. I mean, you could, if you wanted, do it upside down like this, but obviously it would stick out the top. So that's not going to work for anyone. What I want to do is I want to make sure that this is at the right angle so that it sits about level. There we go. Perfect. So that's now done. So I appreciate that wasn't the easiest thing for you to watch, but the flush is now on. So this is upside down. So up is the half flush, down is the full flush, 6 or 3 litres. Not only are these hard enough to get to as it is because of this, they've also put that in the way. But that's fine, we'll make it work. This grips in nicely, so you've got the lever arm, you have the gripper bracket, a rubber washer, a plastic washer, and the tightening nut. And then you put the flush box on the back of it. Because that is not yet fully dry, what I'm going to do is I am going to put masking tape around the bottom of the pan, and then I will put that in place, and then I can paint that again in future without having to worry about the pan getting any paint on it. And then I will be cutting the waste pipe down and getting everything fixed in place. Right, this has been cut down to the right size. I've also got a little bit of grease on the inside here. And by grease, I mean hand soap, which is just going to help ease that in. I'm going to try really hard to bring you along with this, but it may well be that you've just got a view of my butt on my back. It is nice and tight, which is perfect. It's exactly what you want. It's nice and tight. Just want to look inside and see. Yeah, that rubber seal is still good. It's not been pushed out. This is always going to be here, but I don't really want to screw it into the floor. So what I think I'm going to do is line everything up, make a mark where it is, and then silicone it down to the floor. King of the castle, king of the castle. Now that's okay. That's all right, I think. I'll use a bit of masking tape to mark out where it's going to be, like this, because then when I come to paint it, it'll be okay. Make sure that lines up perfectly there. Good. I know exactly where the toilet's going to go. I can lift the whole thing off and I can put some silicone down. Slide that off. This is a polymer adhesive. And the reason that I've done it with tape is because this would easily slide all over the place because it's quite slippery stuff. It would very easily slide all over when I put the thing back on. Even if I could remember exactly where I'd put it, it would slide all over. So by doing it like this, I can just line it up and press down, and I've got a bit of wiggle room. So just gently press on that. And even just with me applying my excessive body weight, I can feel it has moved just a fraction. So that's good. I've also switched off the water. So this pipe here will not spray at me. Very nice. I can actually clean that up afterwards, that's okay. So everything's coming together all right, I think. Okay. So move that whole thing over. And let me get the close couple toilet. Just double check the pan, sorry, the close couple unit. That's a little disconcerting because you can't immediately see. Of course, I want to make sure that this is all perfectly lined up to the eye. Don't know how lined up that looks to you, but it looks a little off to me. That's a bit better. So I'm going to have to put a bit more masking tape down on the side, but it's important to get this right. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, so time for the wing nuts. This will help secure the cistern down in place onto the pan. So you take the nuts off, take the washers off, and then slide them back on. So I'll put 2 on that side, I'll put 2 on that side. Again, sorry that this is just a view of my back. Nothing I can do. Clever thing about these is they've got nice square edges on them. That means it locks in place. So this locks in place. So as you tighten it from below, it holds nicely in place. And because this is secured to this, when I secure this to this, the whole thing pulls together very nicely. So that is good. So then you put rubber washer, penny washer, wing nut. They go underneath. It's underneath the cistern, underneath the pan. Again, this is actually a one-handed job. It's got a square top. You can do it one-handed, so you can race your hands. Who's better, left hand or right hand? Let me get started to the same point. Okay, and tighten these up. And then you secure the close couple unit to the thing. Now this is another good thing. Look, can you see how wonky that is? That's because I'm tightening. I've tightened this side more than I have this side. When I then tighten this side, it'll pull it down. So that's quite nice. I'll be able to use that to my advantage to help level the thing. Now I'm going to push. This is compressing the donut, the black ring that you saw. That is being compressed now under here, which will give it a really tight seal. And will mean that there aren't any leaks coming out of the bottom of the cistern. Okay, very good. Yeah, that's fine. So that's that. We can secure that back to the wall in a moment. Don't need to hurry on that. This is nice and secure. So now we can take this, which we know and love. That is what I thought it would be. It's a bit too long. I want to get the toilet set up, so I don't mind that it's too long. I will change this in time, not least because I would like to get one where I can isolate it, and it's a bit shorter. This is excessively long. So because of that, I'm not going to worry about putting a whole load of PTFE thread tape in here. I'm just going to get it on for now. It does have a pipe stiffener in it, which it technically doesn't need because it is a copper pipe that it's going into, and the copper pipes don't need collar stiffeners, but that's fine. Right, I know that that is far too long and bendy and looks a bit rubbish, but it works for now. And the reason I'm doing it is because I want to test the toilet. I want to test it for leaks and for the flush. So I want to test the water coming in and I want to test the water going out. So what I'm going to do is go downstairs, switch on the water, and then I'm going to give this a go and we will see. Okay, that's starting to fill, which is great news. What's even better news is that I see no leaks just yet. We'll watch this to make sure that I've cinched that up pretty tightly, that donut, and it's sealed from the inside here as well, not just from the underneath. So let's see how we get on. Let's see how this shuts off. That float should raise up any second once that little cradle fills with water. It shuts off almost exactly at 6 litres, so that's good. So that's a nice long flush. That comes spilling out of here and washes the whole way around. That washes the bowl very nicely. So that is the toilet in. I obviously need to put some screws down at the bottom and just finish kind of tidying up, taking the instructions off and everything. But that is done. I'm going to conclude the series here. I've still got a radiator to put on and a door to put on, but I'll be honest, I'm not likely going to get to that anytime soon. I also need to do a bath panel, and I actually need to fit the door to the room itself. So there are a handful more jobs. Oh, and yes, fit a mirror up there. And a windowsill. Okay, so there's quite a bit left to do, but I'm not going to get to that anytime soon. So I'm going to conclude the series here. I hope you have found that helpful, enjoyable, entertaining and all that sort of stuff, and useful. If you have, please do give it a like, a thumbs up, a subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I will see you on the next video.